Have you ever watched someone walk away and think to yourself, they're completely fine? They don't even look back? That thought almost broke you. But what if I told you they were fighting the hardest battle of their life in that exact moment? What if the person who left without a single tear was the one whose entire world just fell apart? Here is the truth nobody talks about. The ones who leave the easiest are the ones who felt the most. You need to understand something. When an avoidant person walks out of your life, the world sees a calm exit. They see someone who doesn't care, someone who moved on like nothing happened. But what the world cannot see is what happens the second the door closes behind them, the second they think no one is watching. That is where the real story begins, because that person didn't walk away because they were strong. They walked away because they were terrified. They didn't leave because they felt nothing. They left because they felt everything and they had no idea what to do with it. You watched them live like nothing changed. You saw them go to work. You saw them laugh with friends. You saw them scroll through their phone like you never existed. And every single time you saw that, something inside you died a little. You started believing the lie. You started thinking maybe you never mattered at all. But I'm going to tell you something you need to hear. They are performing. That calm, cool, collected version, you see, that is a mask. That is armor. That is their last line of defense against a pain that is absolutely crushing them. Here is what happens inside their mind when you are gone. The silence is the first thing that destroys them. In your relationship, they may have pulled away. They may have been distant. They may have made you feel like you were the only one fighting for something. But at least there was noise. At least there was a body next to them at night. At least there was someone to text. Even if the responses were short, now there is nothing. Absolute nothing. And they are not ready for that silence. They thought they wanted it. They thought freedom meant peace. But freedom without you turned out to be the loudest emptiness they have ever experienced. You see, avoidant people build walls not because they hate connection. They build walls because deep down they are afraid connection will destroy them. So they keep everyone at arm's length. They practice being okay alone. They convince themselves they don't need anyone. And for a long time, they believe it, until you come along and everything changes. You see them, really see them. You break through walls nobody else could touch. You make them feel things they swore they were done feeling. And for a little while, they let you in. They actually let you in. But then something shifts. The feelings get too big. The vulnerability gets too deep. And instead of staying and working through it, they run. They run back behind the wall. They run back to safety. They run back to being alone. And you think, why couldn't they just fight for us? But the answer will shock you. They wanted to. They wanted to so badly. But every time they tried to reach for you, their body wouldn't move. Every time they wanted to open their mouth and say something real, the words wouldn't come. They are trapped inside themselves, fighting a war nobody can see. Now you are gone. And that war just got 1,000 times harder. They replay everything. They replay the moments when they should have held you tighter. They replay the times when you needed them and they turned away. They replay the words they should have said and never said. And every replay cuts deeper than the one before. They want to reach out. In that moment, they want it more than they have ever wanted anything. But the fear wins again. The old pattern takes over. They tell themselves it's better this way. They deserve someone who can show up fully. I am not that person. And they swallow the message instead of sending it. Again, you need to understand this. Your absence is teaching them something that nothing else ever could. It is teaching them that the walls they built to protect themselves have actually been destroying them all along. And now you are gone. And the wall has nothing left to keep out. The void is everywhere. And for the first time in their life, they are forced to sit alone with everything they ran from. This is not your fault. This is not their fault either. This is the consequence of a fear so deep, it made them choose safety over love every single time. So yes, they walked away looking calm. Yes, they looked like they didn't care. But I need you to know something. The hardest thing they will ever do is exist in a world where you are no longer part of it. And if you are watching this, if you are someone who left an avoidant person, or if you are someone who was left by one, I need you to understand something important. The way they handle leaving has nothing to do with your worth. Nothing. Their silence is not proof that you didn't matter. Their silence is proof that you mattered so much it terrified them. And they handled that terror the only way they knew how. They ran, they hid, they pretended. That is their story, not yours. But here is the gift in this. If you stay till the end of this video, I am going to show you something that changes everything. I am going to show you what is really happening inside their mind. I am going to show you the war they fight alone. And more importantly, I am going to show you how this story can actually end in a way that heals them both. So stay, because what comes next is the truth they will never tell you themselves, and it might just save everything. Did you ever wonder why someone could love you so deeply and still push you away like you never existed? Why they would throw away something real for something that doesn't even come close to what you gave them? Here is the answer. It is not because they stopped loving you. It is because something inside them broke a long time ago, and that break created a wall so high they cannot even see over it anymore. This section is not about blaming them. This section is about understanding them, and more importantly, it is about understanding yourself. Every avoidant person walking this earth was once a child who learned a lesson before they were old enough to understand its weight. That lesson was simple, it was quiet, and it changed everything. Love is not safe. Love is unpredictable. Love says things that cut deep. Love leaves without warning. So the child did the only thing that made sense. They decided to stop needing anyone at all. If you never need anyone, you never get abandoned. If you never open up, you never get hurt. If you never let anyone close enough to see the real you, then nobody can ever reject the real you. This is the logic. This is the survival strategy, and it worked. For years, it actually worked. But here is what that child never understood. They were not protecting themselves from the world. They were slowly starving themselves from the world. The wall they built to stay safe became a prison. And inside that prison lived a person who never learned how to be loved properly. So when you came along, something miraculous happened. You broke through, you saw through the act. You touched something real inside them. And for the first time in their life, they felt connected to another human being in a way that terrified them. Because love exposes you. Love says, here is the broken part of me. Please don't leave. And that is the most frightening sentence a person with an avoidant heart can ever speak. So what do? When the feelings get too strong, when the connection gets too deep, when you start needing things they do not know how to give, they retreat. They go back behind the wall. They tell themselves they are fine. They tell themselves they do not need you. They tell themselves the whole thing was a mistake, and you are left standing there confused, hurt, wondering what you did wrong. The truth? You did nothing wrong. You simply triggered something old, something buried so deep they probably do not even know it exists. You triggered the fear that if they let you all the way in, you will eventually leave. Because everyone leaves. Not because people are cruel, but because people get tired. People get exhausted from loving someone who cannot receive it. And when you finally have enough and walk away, it proves everything they believed as a child. Love leaves, love hurts, so stay away. This is the invisible wall. It is not made of brick or stone. It is made of old pain, old fear, and old decisions made by a child who did not know better. And every time you got close, they felt that wall shake. They felt the foundations tremble. And instead of letting it fall, they reinforced it. They pushed you away to protect themselves. But here is what they do not see. They did not only push you away, they pushed away the one thing that could actually heal them. You. The connection you offered was not dangerous. The connection you offered was the medicine their broken inner child never got. But they could not see it that way. They could only see it as another opportunity to get hurt. So they chose the pain of loneliness over the risk of closeness, again and again and again. And now you are gone, and the wall is still standing, but it is standing in an empty room. There is nobody left on the other side to push away. There is no connection left to reject. There is only them, alone. With the wall they built to keep everyone out, and nobody left to keep out. This is the cruelest joke of avoidant attachment. The very thing they did to stay safe is the thing that is destroying them now. They wanted to never need anyone. Now they need someone desperately, and do not know how to reach out. They wanted to never be vulnerable. Now they are completely exposed to a pain they cannot escape. They wanted to never feel too much. Now they feel everything and have no one to help them carry it. Do you see the tragedy now? They are not cold. They are not heartless. They are broken, and their defense mechanism has become their greatest enemy. But here is where it gets powerful. Understanding this changes everything. When you know why they ran, you stop taking it personally. When you know the wall was built before you ever arrived, you stop believing you were not enough. You were always enough. You were just fighting against years of armor that you did not build and cannot tear down alone. And this is exactly why you need to stay until the end of this video. Because what I am about to show you is how this story changes, how the person behind the wall finally learns to come down, and how you can be part of that transformation without losing yourself in the process. This is bigger than them. This is bigger than you. This is about breaking a cycle that has controlled both of your lives without either of you knowing it existed. So keep watching, because the next truth is going to shake you in the best possible way. Now picture this. It is 2 a.m. The house is completely quiet. Your phone is dark. The bed beside you is cold. And no one in the world knows the war that is happening inside your head right now. That is where the avoidant person lives after you are gone. That is where they fight a battle they cannot win alone. This is the war nobody sees. And it is absolutely brutal. Everything they buried finally surfaces. Every emotion they refuse to feel. Every conversation they should have had. Every moment they should have held you instead of pulling away. It all floods in at once. And they have no defense. The walls are still standing, but the flood is on the other side, and there is nothing left to stop it. You need to understand something. Avoidant people are not empty inside. They are full. They are full of things they never allowed themselves to feel. Guilt, regret, longing, fear, love they never knew how to express. And all of it was locked away behind years of practiced emotional suppression. You being gone did not empty them out. You being gone broke the lock. The first wave that hits them is the simplest one. They miss you, not in a soft, gentle way. They miss you in a way that physically aches. They reach for their phone 100 times and put it down 100 times. They type messages and delete them. They almost call and then remember every reason why they think they should not. The wanting is so strong it feels like sickness. And nobody around them knows because they look completely fine. Then comes the guilt. The guilt is louder than the missing. Because now they have space to think, really think. And what they think about is everything they did wrong. Every time they made you feel alone in the relationship. Every time you needed reassurance and they gave you distance. Every time you asked for something reasonable and they made you feel like you were asking too much. They replay the whole relationship with perfect clarity now, and it is painful to watch. But here is the part that destroys them most. They knew. In those moments, they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew they were pulling away. They knew they were hurting you. They chose to do it anyway, not because they wanted to hurt you, but because they were more afraid of staying open than they were of losing you. And that choice sits in their chest like a stone now, heavy and unmovable. Now the two feelings collide, the missing and the guilt. They want to reach out. They want to call you and say all the things they never said. They want to apologize. They want to explain. They want a second chance. But the same thing that made them push you away in the first place stops them now. Fear. Fear says, you waited too long, you broke it, it's too late. Fear says, if you reach out and they don't want you back, you will feel this even worse. Fear says, you never deserved them anyway. The kind thing to do is stay away and let them find someone who can actually show up. So they listen to fear. Again, and the message never gets sent. Again. This is the loop they cannot escape. They feel something. They want to act on it. Fear takes over. They stay still. They suffer in silence. Then they beat themselves up for staying still. Then the suffering gets worse. Then they want to act even more desperately. And fear gets even louder. The cycle never breaks unless something changes. And here is the thing nobody tells you. They hate themselves for this. Deeply. The person who appears calm to the world is actually drowning in self-judgment. They look at themselves and see weakness. They see someone who cannot do what everyone else seems to do so easily. They see someone who destroys good things. They see someone who runs when things get real. And that self-image is devastating. They do not tell anyone because they do not think anyone would understand. Their friends see someone strong. Their family sees someone independent. But inside, they feel like a fraud. They feel broken in a way nobody can see. And your absence confirms every fear they have ever had about themselves. You were the proof that love was possible for them, and then you became the proof that they ruin everything good that comes their way. Because you left, and they believe it is their fault. Not just one small part of it, all of it. They take full responsibility in the worst possible way, not the kind that leads to growth, the kind that leads to paralysis. So they sit in that bed at 2 a.m. fighting themselves, wanting to call, wanting to change, wanting to be brave, but being unable to move, unable to speak, unable to break the pattern that has controlled their entire life. This is the war nobody sees, and it is the reason they pushed you away in the first place, not because they did not love you, but because they loved you so much they could not handle what it was doing to them, and instead of staying and learning how to manage it, they ran. They chose the safe version of the pain, the temporary silence, not knowing that the real pain was coming and it would be 10 times worse. Now they are living in that real pain, and it is teaching them something nothing else ever could. It is teaching them that the strategy they used to survive is the strategy that is killing them now. The isolation they built to protect their heart has become the thing that is breaking it completely. But there is something coming next that changes everything. Stay right here, because the moment they finally